So look at my dad's face right there. That's the man when I was a kid. Hardly a week went by. But what he didn't say to me, when I was your age, I used to get up at 4 in the morning and walk 12 miles to school. Uphill. Both ways. Through the snow. Barefoot. No, naked. Many mornings I was naked, long lines of naked children. And I used to say to my friends, because I thought this was so unusual, I'd say, tell me the truth. Did your moms and dads have to walk many, many miles to school? And they all had the same response, except for one of my friends who said, no, as I recall, my dad only used to have to go about 9. But he used to have to raft part of it. Made me wonder why people back in those days didn't build schools somewhere near where the kids lived. That would have been a good idea. That's my dad if I said to him, middle of February, up near Lake Erie, oh man, cold out there today. My dad would say, you have no idea what cold is. When I was a kid, it used to get so cold, I kept getting my lips and my tongue stuck on that old metal cowbell. Well, Dad, did you just say you kept getting them stuck? You did that more than once. That's my dad if I said to him, man, I twisted that ankle, there's some pain. He would say, you have no idea what pain is. When I was a kid, pain really hurt. Walk it off. That was his solution to any injury. Bloody nose, walk it off. Well, all right. Diarrhea, walk it off. Oh, yeah. Thanks, Dad. I think it's working. I had appendicitis. My dad told me to walk it off. Now listen, I cut him a little slack, okay, because he didn't know I didn't know it was appendicitis. He's not a medical doctor. That was the problem. He didn't know. And I didn't even know, but I did. And when I woke up at 4 a.m., my dad was 3 feet away going, I'm so sorry. Look, I wouldn't, if I'd known it was appendicitis, I never would have said that. I'm so sorry. I thought it was a gallstone or a twisted bowel. Oh, my dad, I'll tell you, I've gotten so many laughs at my dad's expense through all of these years, but I want you to know that what a wonderful guy. I mean, my dad hardly ever seen the man angry. That's the truth. That's his character. One time he was. I had a slinky. How many of you had slinkies? Look at that. Many of you did who aren't raising your hands right now. You know that, but that has to be one of the greatest marketing feats in American history. Some marketing genius convinced, listen, 400 million of us that we all had to have our own personal spring. And it didn't even do anything, people. It did not go downstairs. No, it did not. Did not. No, yours didn't. No, it didn't. It went down 2 steps and threw itself down the rest. You know that's true. I had a giant slinky. We're talking close to $2. And apparently after playing with it one day, I left it laying in the high grass, where the next day, my dad hit it with the power mower. And this did upset him a bit. Though it may have been less anger and just fear. Because that is a terrifying sight to see that ever-lengthening strand of wire 1.5 inches above the ground rotating at 2,200 RPMs. Mowed the whole backyard in 3.5 seconds that day, as I remember. I want you to know that my dad, I've gotten so many laughs at his expense, but if he were here tonight, he'd be sleeping. But I would tell these stories, and he would delight in them, which tickles me, to know that my dad gets it, and he always has. My dad understands that I'm just using him to make money. That's what I'm doing. Got a call from my mom a few years ago. She said, your dad's had a terrible accident. My dad, an old man now, climbed up in an apple tree, 18 feet. If you know anything about apple trees, that's about as high as you can go in any apple tree. He's up 18 feet in this apple tree, picking apples and throwing them to my cousin, who should have been in the apple tree, throwing them to my cousin on the ground. And my cousin is catching the apples and putting them in an apple basket. And my dad figured out if he could pick a whole lot of apples and throw them faster than my cousin could catch them, he could repeatedly hit my cousin. And they got laughing. Well, my dad was. Grabbed a rotten limb, snapped off 18 feet to the ground. Old paratrooper, he managed to land on his side, but of course, something's going to go. Shattered his pelvis. They have him in surgery for 5 or 6 hours, 4 or 5 hours, I guess. They're screwing him back together, trying to. My mom's trying to get me. She can't reach me. I don't remember why. Now my dad's out of surgery. She still can't reach me. A couple hours later, he's awake now. He's in his room. Finally, she gets through. I said, can I talk to him? She said, yeah, I think so. Hey, I want to tell you something, folks. I love my mom and my dad. I am a kid who has always loved his mom and dad, and never a moment in my life have I questioned if my mom and dad loved me. Always knew how much they loved me. But having said that, I would also tell you this. My dad and I did not say those 3 words, I love you, to each other. And I've wondered why that is, because I always said those words to my boys, and they to their children, and now I to my grandchildren. And now, my dad and I, we talk a couple times a week. We never end a conversation without saying, I love you, Dad, or I love you, son. We always say it now. But all those years growing up, we didn't say those words. I never doubted it, but we didn't say those words. I said, can I talk to him? She said, yeah, I think so. And then I heard him say, hi, Bob. 2 words. And I heard the pain. 2 syllables. And I heard the pain in those words. I said, Dad, I'm so sorry about this. He said, well, thanks, Bob. I said, I heard you were up pretty high. He said, you have no idea how high. Thought he was going to tell me about how his skin was heating up as he came through the atmosphere back down to earth. I said, Dad, I wish there was something I could say to make you feel better. He said, well, thanks, Bob. And then I realized, hey, folks, life is short, huh? And I said those 3 words so long overdue. I said, Dad, walk it off. Come on. Come on. Which got him laughing pretty good, by the way. And apparently, it really hurts to laugh with a crotch full of screws. But here's the truth. Don't miss this. Here's the truth. The story may not have, didn't necessarily have to end that way. I might have said, I love you, Dad. And had I said that, I know he would have said, well, you have no idea how much I love you, which is exactly what God says to us in this room tonight. You have no idea. You have no idea how much I love you. And some of us might be tempted to say, oh, no, God, I know. If I'd been the only one in sin, if I'd been the only one that needed redeeming, you would have died upon the cross just for me. I know how much you love me. And he goes, no, listen, you have no idea how much I love you. Hey, grandparents, do our little grandchildren, do they have any idea how much we love them? Well, they know we love them, but do they have any idea how much we love them? They can't possibly understand that. I think it's that way with us and God, except infinitely more so. In the middle of Ephesians, the Apostle Paul says to us, he says, I pray that you, us, along with all the saints, those who have gone before, might know how wide and long and high and deep is the love of Christ. And then he says something unusual. He says, I pray that you might know this love that surpasses knowledge. In other words, I pray that you might know what you cannot know. Well, how can I know what I can't know? And what he's saying is, I pray that every day you might know more and more and more of this love of Christ. What a great prayer that is for us.